Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Likon Obanjo. The top stories at this hour. President Tinubu backs Obasa's return as Lagos Assembly Speaker. Nigerian government monitors 357 suspected cases of Lassa fever. Angola to host peace talks between DR Congo M23 on March 18. Details to come your way shortly. News now at this hour begins in West Africa, where Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has thrown his support behind Mudashiru Obasa's reinstatement as Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, despite earlier recommendations for his resignation. The decision followed a crucial meeting on Wednesday at the presidential villa in Abuja, where Tinubu met all 40 lawmakers from the State Assembly. The meeting came in the wake of a mediation panel's recommendation that Obasa step down after being reinstated. The panel, chaired by former Ondo State Governor Olusegun Oshoba and former Osun State Governor Bisi Akande, was set up by the president to resolve the crisis within the House. However, after deliberations with the lawmakers, Tinubu reportedly overruled the panel's recommendation, urging all factions to rally behind Obasa in the interest of stability in Lagos State and the Assembly. Dotun Ojon, a public affairs analyst, joined us on the news to speak more on this. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Now, what do you think or make of President Tinubu's decision to back Mudashiru Obasa's return as Speaker? What does it signify for Lagos State?
Okay, thank you once again for having me. I think it's an art of politics. Politics and, generally party management in Nigeria is not always devoid of crisis. And when that happens, there's always a rallying point, somebody that all the parties involved will want to run to or talk to. And at this moment in Nigeria, they say that the Nigerian president is the most powerful president in the world because everything seems to start unstable and ends unstable, even matters that do not directly affect his political party. So I think his intervention will be able to return peace to the Lagos State House of Assembly. Whether it will return trust is another conversation entirely.
All right, so let's also understand how significant this is, of course, with the president wanting to go against or having even gone against the recommendations of the panel by Bisi Akande and Oshoba in resolving the crisis.
Okay, I think people should know that the intervention of the panel is not in any way a legal matter. It's just a logical matter. And anything that has to do with logic that is not legal can be overridden, especially when you look at the interests that are involved here and there. The person of the president is totally different from every other person that is involved in the conversation. And if anybody is the president of Nigeria, either right or wrong, you will want your nation to be at peace. And particularly, this is coming from Lagos. I doubt whether anybody will be sitting as a president and will just allow things to fall into crisis. So he is, I believe that he has made decision from an informed point of view. I do not personally agree with him because I have a bit of reservations here and there. But again, I give him the benefit of the doubt that is making such decision from an informed angle, having access to security report, having access to the details of politicking that goes behind all the politics that is involved. And you will also remember that the president is the rallying man when it comes to Lagos politics. And it doesn't mean that that's the right way to run a party. It could just be the right way to make a party productive, as it were.
All right, so do you not believe that President Tinubu's intervention will help stabilize the Lagos State House of Assembly, or do you think it will fuel further tensions?
Okay, so absolutely the art of politicking is because this will actually be strange to people that are not involved. But I just need to remind everyone that the act of politicking at the end of the day is out of what is on the table. What do I mean? Everybody that went there yesterday got something, and it's not in terms of money. If we are allowing this man to stay as the speaker, at the end of the day, what's going to be our own fate? So I believe that it's going to return peace to the House of Assembly because, like I said, nobody went there yesterday and returned empty-handed. It may not be in terms of the physicality of what can be seen. It could be in terms of promise that cannot be seen as to, at the end of the day, some of them may make it back to the House of Assembly. Some of them may get automatic ticket to make it back in 2027. Some of them may get one appointment or here and there that we have to recommend. See, politics in Nigeria is such a large venture that can accommodate so many interests. So at the end of the day, I'm not crying for those that are involved. If there's any cry that I may need to share, it could be for governance, for the people of Lagos. But as it is today, it's going to return peace to the House of Assembly, and I think everybody will get one or two things before they left Abuja, if they have left.
But we have this speculation that there is a political feud between the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and Mudashiru Obasa. Do you think that this latest move by the president would affect his administration in any way?
Okay, so I have spoken about the person of Sanwo-Olu within the limit of what I know and I've read about him. And there are just two of them in the Southwest that are governors of character. And, there are two components of leadership. You talk about character and you talk about competence. For Sanwo-Olu, I'm not talking about competence this one. I'm just talking about his political character. It doesn't even come across to you as somebody who will drag anything politically when it comes to the Lagos politics. And I understand the fact that a lot of people have the tendency within the party of looking down on him. He may not be as experienced or as contributive as a lot of them have been over the years for the party. So he may come across as somebody that you may look down on. But when you talk about political peace, Sanwo-Olu is a symbol of political character. He doesn't have that kind of character of dragging with anyone. Him and the present Ekiti state government seems to be a new brand of politicians who seem not to have anything to drag with anybody. Of course, there will be insinuation. Of course, there will be thought columnists who will continue to want to read minutes to things. But the person of, I know the speaker may want to drag things with anybody. You can see him. You can see his political character. But the governor is not, he doesn't come across as a politician who's going to drag anything with anybody. So I do not believe there could be disagreement. Of course, there will be disagreement between politicians, but I'm not sure it has got to a point where they would want to, or the governor will be involved in plotting anything against the speaker. I don't see him in that light.
Okay, so in all of this, one thing comes to mind, though. About 36 lawmakers out of the 40 lawmakers in the assembly allegedly want Obasa out of the speakership position. Seems to be only backed by about 4. Is that actually democracy, owing to the fact that the president would want a stability for the assembly, which necessarily does not translate into what benefits the people?
At the end of the day, there's nothing really democratic about representative democracy that we practice in Nigeria. And I'm going to take it from the point of election. If the president continues to appoint the INEC boss, is that democratic? The person that will still conduct your election. If only 15-20% of your entire populace elects your president, is that democratic? So in our own kind of representative democracy, it's just about a few powerful people controlling the machinery of politics, as it were. And that's exactly what has happened in Lagos. And why the Lagos House of Assembly member may not have a moral right to complain is the fact that they have also in the past benefited from that kind of politics. In Lagos, it's called Baba Sokwe kind of politics, which means that Baba has said, and whatever Baba says stands in Lagos politics. And that's why it looks as if APC in Lagos is a bit calm and peaceful, because it rallies around the person for the president, who has always been the leader, who has always been the sponsor, who has, and you remember that the president has been praised before as somebody who has the capacity for political star scouting, political star placement, and political star displacement, as it were. In the case of Ambody, you know how the game played out. And there are also a lot of people who had wanted to be one or two things in Lagos that have been denied for the people in the House of Assembly now. So you will not say because the system does not work in your favor today that you will completely criticize the system. I'm just concerned about peace, as it were, that will lead to the people getting the dividend of democracy. So I think it is just what it is.
Dr. or John, well, Baba Sope, I should thank you for sharing your thoughts on the news with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Let's move on now. The internal crisis within the People's Democratic Party appears to be worsening as the party's National Disciplinary Committee has recommended the expulsion of Samuel Anyanwu, a close ally of former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike. The recommendation follows Anyanwu's failure to respond to allegations brought against him by the party's Young Generation Caucus. In a letter signed by NDC Chairman Tommy Kimi, the committee said Anyanwu was given the opportunity to defend himself but failed to do so. The PDP has been grappling with internal divisions since the 2023 presidential election, with tensions between rival factions intensifying over the past few months. Despite efforts by the National Executive Committee to resolve disputes, the crisis within the party continues to deepen. In the meantime, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has said that there would be nothing wrong with the state lawmakers impeaching his successor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The minister was speaking at a media parley in Abuja on Wednesday, and he argued that Governor Fubara already crossed the line by withholding the lawmakers' salaries for months.
The way people are going is not the one thinking. It's not about you. Come on, Congress. I'm coming now. Who does that? For Christ's sake, who does that? Why do you encourage that? The man must be taught that art of governance is not about commissioning projects. Governance is not only about commissioning projects. Governance is not only about initiating projects. Governance is also the capacity to relate, to meander through things. You have you are one of those who have arised one of the problem makers as far as Rivers State is concerned. Problem. Let me tell you, when you said the roadmap, I've told you here about politics. I told you I go and see my chairman of committees. I've not presented our 2025 budget. Mr. President has not laid it to them. Now, I cannot, even when we finish the ESCO of the FCT approves, I will still go back to the chairman. As the chairman, Mr. President is likely to bring the budget next week. I will not, because I'm working with President. I won't talk to them. Who does that? And that's why I say it is not only going to commission projects as governance. You must learn how to relate with people. They are not my children. They are elected people. Legislature is the background of democracy anywhere in the world. So the local.
Let's now go on a short break. And when we return, we'll tell you about a supposed investigation on Peter Odili's tenure as governor of Rivers State. We'll tell you more when we are back. Many thanks for being there. Now, reactions have trailed the dismissal by the Supreme Court of the two appeals by the Rivers State Attorney General and the Speaker of the House of Assembly. They are seeking to set aside the leave granted to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to challenge an order prohibiting the investigation of Peter Odili's tenure as governor of the state. In 2007, Odili got a court injunction preventing the EFCC from investigating or arresting him. The court order also restrained the commission from probing the finances of the Rivers State government when Odili was the governor. However, the EFCC sought leave from the Court of Appeal to challenge the Federal High Court's ruling beyond the stipulated time. In the meantime, the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party, Olu Agunloye, has petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, over an alleged plot to force him to resign. There are insinuations that members of the SDP loyal to the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, who just joined the party, are pushing for Agunloye's resignation. On Monday, El-Rufai resigned his membership of the All Progressives Congress and joined the SDP after months of strategic meetings with opposition party leaders. Upon his resignation from the APC, El-Rufai said it would work to unite opposition leaders against the APC. El-Rufai, who served as governor of Kaduna State from 2015 to 2023, has been critical of President Bola Tinubu's administration, particularly since the Senate declined to confirm him as a minister. Let's also tell you that the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan by the Senate over her allegations of sexual harassment leveled against the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, is still generating reactions from Nigerians. A coalition of women groups staged a solidarity protest at the Lagos State House of Assembly in Alausa, Ikeja, asking that the suspension of the senator representing Kogi Central be dropped. They call for fairness, equity, and justice.
We felt that it is a kind of discrimination, it's a form of violence against our rights. And we used to say an injustice to one is an injustice to all. Natasha is not only representing herself at the National Assembly, Natasha is representing partly constituency of Kogi State. She's also representing all women in Nigeria. And so on that note, we were held out here, one, to show our solidarity, and two, to say to the Senate and Nigerian government that no more discrimination to women's rights.
What the federal government has done to her is completely wrong. It's wrong. We are fighting for our rights. Natasha should be reinstated. She should be brought back to the seat. Enough of this intimidation. We can't stand it again. We are the voice of this country. She's a bona fide citizen of this country. She's a woman. She's a mother. We don't want all this shitting again. Enough is enough. We are tired. We are tired. We are tired. We don't want this to continue. And if the federal government did not do something to this Natasha issue, they'll be surprised. What happened in Enugu will happen again.
We feel that this is an unfair judgment. We feel that she's been relegated because she spoke out for something that happened. I feel there should be investigation. At the time of investigation, I feel she should still be in her seat. I feel this is an unfair judgment. Two people were involved in this. One was taken out of office because he needed to do investigation, or I don't know. So I feel she should be reinstated back to her seats.
Now, the Nigerian Senate is calling for urgent intervention by security agencies to address a rising insecurity in Benue State following deadly attacks that claimed 4 lives and destroyed property worth millions of naira. It is also demanding immediate action from the federal government to tackle the escalating violence in the state. Our National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, reports.
In a motion moved by the Benue Northwest lawmaker Titus Zam, he explained that the inability of the Benue State government to implement anti-open grazing law passed by the State Assembly has now worsened the security situation in the state.
The inability of the present administration in Benue State to enforce the law has exposed members of the National Assembly from Benue State to undue pressure and name-calling by our constituents. This situation has emboldened the bandits and further worsened the security situation in Benue State and beyond.
In most cases, no statements of condemnation, no demonstration of empathy has been shown by the government of Benue State. Mr. President, as I speak now, those of us elected on the platform of this Senate are endangered species because our communities think, and unfortunately very wrongly, that it is our responsibility to provide security. And so, Mr. President, I think that these killings, this vandalization of property of people who the communities feel should be responsible for their security is one too many.
To further assess the situation, the Senate mandated its committees on national security, Air Force, Defense and Army to conduct a joint assessment tour of the affected communities, sympathize with victims and provide a detailed report on their findings.
We should mandate our committee on national security and intelligence in combination with other committees of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force and Defense to visit the areas affected, undertake assessment of the situation, sympathize with the bereaved families and those affected, and also urge the Benue State government to expedite action on its open grazing prohibition law. Those in support of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5 is also amended.
The Senate also directed the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials to displaced residents and victims of the recent attacks. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Away from that, a loaded gas tanker that fell and burst into flames on Tuesday night reportedly affected nearby structures, including a residential building and mechanic parks at Otedola Underbridge, adjacent CMD Road in Lagos. In this report, News Central's Idalani Yomoni gives an update as he visits the site of the explosion.
Tuesday's gas explosion around the Otedola Bridge left a devastating aftermath of utter destruction. The scene was littered with charred remains of vehicles and tricycles, a heartbreaking sight for mechanics whose workshop was engulfed by the flames, destroying their livelihoods.
What's the next step for you?
There's no any solution for me to feed my family again because I have 2 Marwa there. So where I want to start.
And all this Marwa we are talking about, we collect it higher purchase from people, and we don't have any opportunity anymore. As this thing was happened to us now, the owner will stand and want to collect his own money.
You mentioned that you saw the gas tanker coming from a particular gas station. Yes. What's the name of the gas station, and have you been there this morning?
We don't be the gas station this morning because I can't go to another person's business.
Right, what's the
because
name of the gas station?
Second coming.
In the early hours of Wednesday, firefighters continued battling pockets of fire and dousing the vapor still oozing from the tanker to prevent reignition. A grim reminder of the intense heat generated by the explosion. The affected buildings, including a dental clinic and a residential building, were barely recognizable, testament to the sheer force of the blast. The recovery process concluded. Evacuation began. One body, burnt beyond recognition, was pulled from the scene, raising the fatality toll to 4. While road signals indicate this corridor prohibits strokes, contradictory comments emerged from officials.
It came at a time when many are going home. Are you getting what I'm saying? And of course, there were signboard, which of course a gentleman would know that every truck does not ply this area.
I don't know who did that. I don't know who did that. This road is built to accommodate trucks. You have business owners along. Where do you want them to go to? You understand? You have business owners along here. So where do you want them to go to pass through to their business premises? The bridge is not affected. This is just a parallel, a service lane to the bridge. The bridge is intact. You can see no flame.
Subsequently, the evacuation of the gas tanker commenced.
Under normal circumstances, we ought to have removed it over the night. But because of the nature of the tanker, I think it was loaded with gas, we have to prioritize safety. That was why we gave some time for the recovery. I assure you, in the next 2-3 hours, this thing will be off here.
The tankers remain mounted on the excavator, served as a stark reminder of Tuesday night's tragedy. Traffic management measures were implemented as police, firefighters, and emergency officers worked tirelessly to manage the situation and ensure public safety. In Lagos for News Central, Igbalani Omani.
Bringing you other stories now, controversy swirled around the Amazon Prime movie Gang of Lagos, produced by Jade Oshiberu, with many accusing the filmmaker of disrespecting a revered Lagos tradition. The Isaleko Descendants Union took offense at the movie's portrayal of Eyo and Isaleko, and the issue ended up in courts. Now we will go on a short break right now and bring you more details of this and other stories in a short while. Many thanks for being there. Now, earlier on, I told you that there have been controversial takes about the movie Gang of Lagos, or Gangs of Lagos, I must say, where the producer, Jade Oshibere, was accused of wrongfully portraying the age-long Lagos tradition of Isaleko and Eyo to the public. So we have details of this particular story in this report.
Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. A city steeped in rich cultural heritage. In its beauty and splendor, a controversy erupted over the depiction of one of Lagos' most revered traditions in the Amazon Prime movie Gangs of Lagos.
Kadara, destiny. Who decides where we are born, the life we have?
The movie's portrayal of Eyo and Isaleko was deemed disrespectful and inaccurate, sparking outrage among the Isaleko community.
I am one of those who actually escalate the vehement condemnation of that film because it portrays Lagos culture as murderous culture, for that matter, through the Adamo Orisha. Those who were behind the film, Gang of Lagos, went to the extent of using an Adamo Orisha to go into somebody's house and like a night marauder, bringing out a very big gun and started shooting. That is a desecration of the culture of the people of Lagos Island.
The Isaleko Descendants Union took swift action, dragging the movie producers to court. After a lengthy battle, the parties have reached a settlement, with the producers agreeing to apologize for the desecration of Lagos culture. The settlement has been seen as a victory for Isaleko community, who have fought tirelessly to protect their cultural heritage.
Beyond just condemning it, the people of Awadimu took a further step to ensure that such film will never, see the light of the day in the future. And they will be right. They sought the Oba of Lagos permission to ensure that such thing will never happen again. And you can see everybody in Isaleko and even Lagos State rising in unison to condemn such films.
The controversy surrounding Gangs of Lagos serves as a reminder of the importance of cultural sensitivity and accuracy in our storytelling. It's a lesson that extends far beyond the film industry to the very heart of our cultural identity.
It's Lagos and Lagos is Eyo. For creative, we just need to do more research and don't wrongly depict anything that is cultural in our movies. We just need to be sensitive to it.
Lagos, a city of rich cultural heritage where tradition and progress meet. A city that reminds us of the power of storytelling. While this beams as a victory for the people of Isaleko, it is curious to ask, what does it mean for the rising Nollywood industry and new partnerships bringing funds to the industry?
Let's now talk about education. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Jos, Professor Tanko Ishaya, has advised students of the institution to take advantage of the President Bola Tinubu's zero-interest Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, to support their academic pursuits and financial stability. Professor Ishaya was speaking at the 2024-2025 matriculation ceremony of the university, where over 10,000 candidates took an oath to be law-abiding students of the institution. The Central's Chizobanyowe tells us more.
Also solemnly undertake.
We are formally and officially welcome into the University of Jos. Great Josiah!
That oath-taking ushered these students officially into the University of Jos, Plateau State for the next 4 to 6 years, depending on their course of study during their academic program. The Vice-Chancellor remains committed to ensuring that the university imparts in them the necessary knowledge, both in character and learning, for future challenges.
We are fully committed to seeing that we impart you all the necessary skills you desire as you work towards your successful graduation from this great institution. Develop the skills, values, and character that will define your future. Stay focused, stay hungry, and stay foolish.
Former Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, is convinced that with quality education, the future is bright.
In addition to our formal education, we must introduce informal education, where these children will be a boss of their own. I'm talking about creative education, hands-on education, which is more than theoretical education, practical education, vocational in nature, is what we must look at right now in the face of this. You can have courses like painting, electrical installation, plumbing. These are all education. Education does not mean communication in English.
Some of the matriculants from over 15 faculties in the university shared their thoughts.
I'm from South Africa, and I'm a student of the UniJOS, and I'm expecting that at the end of my academic year program, I'll be one of the best students and graduate with the first class.
I just got matriculated today. I'm so happy about that, and I pray that God will guide me and protect me throughout my years as a medical student.
I'm very excited today, and I pray so that I will be successful in life.
With the rising rate of unemployment in Nigeria, it is not just about gaining admission into these tertiary institutions. Rather, it has become worrisome how these youths will be gainfully engaged upon graduation. In Plateau State for News Central, Chizoba Anyowi.
And now to some health matters. We understand that the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention is tracking 357 individuals for possible Lassa fever infection. This follows the death of a 31-year-old physician who returned from the United Kingdom on February 27, 2025 and passed away from Lassa fever on March 1, 2025. The doctor was reportedly treated at a private health facility in Ondo State after returning from his trip abroad. According to NCDC data released on Wednesday, 535 confirmed infections have been recorded out of 2,728 suspected cases across 13 states and 75 local government areas. The report also showed that as of March 2, 2025, over 100 people have died from the disease, with a case fatality rate of 18.7%. Coming up on the news, Angola to host a mediation between DR Congo M23 on March 18. We will tell you more when we return. Join us again. Peace talks between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Rwanda-backed M23 rebel group are set to begin in Rwanda on March 18. Previous mediation efforts by Angola have failed to end the conflict between Congolese forces and the M23 in eastern DRC, a region plagued by violence from multiple armed groups. However, following discussions between Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and Angolan President João Lourenço, both sides have agreed to negotiate. The M23, which has seized key cities including Goma and Bukavu, has signaled a willingness for dialogue. Since January, the ongoing clashes have claimed over 7,000 lives. No timeline has been set for the negotiation. Now, outside of Africa, members of the French National Assembly have adopted a resolution calling for increased support for Ukraine, including the seizure of frozen Russian assets, a move opposed by the French government. French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu spoke following a meeting in Paris with defense ministers from France, Britain, Germany, Italy, and Poland. The discussions come after President Emmanuel Macron urged European military leaders to move from theory to action by drafting a concrete plan to ensure credible security guarantees for Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire.
Pour la France, je pense, pour l'ensemble de l'Assemblée, pour notre groupe qui a porté cette résolution. Un très beau travail de collaboration, on peut le dire, par l'ensemble des députés. Même ceux qui étaient contre ont apporté des pierres intéressantes à l'édifice. Je le pense réellement. La France en sort grandie ce soir. Je pense que l'Ukraine repart avec un message fort. Nos partenaires européens également. Le gouvernement français aussi, avec une mission qu'il devra assurer. Les pistes sont tracées. Il reste maintenant à aller jusqu'au bout et à faire en sorte que la Russie accepte de négocier dans les conditions que l'Ukraine fixera, en soutien bien entendu derrière elle. Nous serons présents, nous les Européens et la France avec elle.
Ce soir, il fallait apporter notre soutien à l'Ukraine et pas un soutien de pacotille, parce qu'on a bien vu ce soir dans l'hémicycle qu'il y avait des parlementaires de pacotille qui défendaient l'Ukraine la main sur le cœur, mais quand il fallait agir, quand il fallait sanctionner, quand il fallait investir dans l'Europe, ne sont pas là. Et en fait, il faut avoir des mots, mais des actes, c'est mieux. Et c'est là-dessus qu'il faut agir. Et l'Assemblée nationale l'a démontré ce soir.
More than 340 train passengers taken hostage by militants have been rescued following a 30-hour siege in Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan province. Security forces launched a major operation after a separatist group bombed a railway track in the mountainous region and stormed the train, which was carrying around 450 passengers. During the operation, 346 hostages were freed and more than 30 militants were killed. However, 27 off-duty soldiers traveling as passengers were shot dead by the attackers. An army official confirmed that one on-duty soldier also lost his life during the clearance operation. Earlier reports from railway officials and paramedics indicated that the train driver and a police officer had also been killed. Talking business now, the African Development Bank and International Institute of Tropical Agriculture on Wednesday signed the $27 million agreement to finance the technologies from African Agricultural Transformation Phase 2 program. Dr. Abdul Kamara, the Director General, Nigeria AFDB Group, said this at the signing ceremony and stated that the agreement aligns with its Feed Africa strategy, which seeks to boost smallholder farmers' productivity and enhance food security. He said the additional financing built on the $40 million provided for Phase 1 of TAAT would focus on expanding access to agricultural technologies for over 40 million smallholder farmers across the continent. We also tell you that Lagos State has released its annual economic development update, highlighting data from the Economic Intelligence Department of the Ministry of Economic Planning and Budget. The report emphasizes sustainable growth trends, showcasing improvements in agriculture, business investment, and social development. It outlines strategies to boost job creation, attract foreign investments, and enhance public services. The state aims to maintain its status as Nigeria's economic powerhouse through innovation, fiscal reforms, and targeted development projects, reinforcing Lagos's position as a hub for economic resilience and long-term prosperity.
Lagos is not just the melting pot for everything in West Africa. It's also a state of possibilities where you see a lot of diversity, a lot of people come to Lagos for their dreams to be realized. Whether it's entertainment, whether it's the creative sector, whether it's innovation, everything is here. Lagos has the potential to develop its infrastructure faster, to improve the quality of those infrastructure, and to improve the lives, well-being, and livelihood of its people.
We're very excited at the fact that we're doing our LEDU updates, 2025 updates. So we're building on the initial report which we had, and that just shows that, consistently it's something we want to do to ensure that we can continuously build and ensure that we can give our citizens the right access to the right sort of data which is specific to them in their environment. So we had good revenues last year in terms of our internal generated revenues. I believe we crossed the 1 trillion naira mark for the first time. So the opportunities are there, and I feel, we need to be able to sort of continuously build on them.
In sports, Nigeria's Amaju Pinnick narrowly missed retaining his FIFA Council seat, falling short by just one vote at the 14th CAF Extraordinary Congress in Cairo, Egypt. Pinnick garnered 28 votes, while Mauritania's Ahmed Yahya and Djibouti's Suleiman Hassan Waberi secured the final spot with 29 votes each. Speaking on Game On, Digital Sports Africa co-founder Emeka Enyadike and African football expert Mamadou Gaye emphasized the importance of thorough preparation before such elections. They noted that candidates must strategize effectively and secure strong backing to achieve the best possible outcome in future FIFA Council bids. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we look at our major stories again. President Tinubu backs Obasanjo's return as Lagos Assembly Speaker. Nigerian government monitors 357 suspected cases of Lassa fever. We also told you that Angola is set to host peace talks between DR Congo M23 rebels on March 18. You can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV 23, StarTimes 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.